Inferiority complex. Inferiority complex. It's a very deep start to feeling when you think about it. When someone feels they doubt themselves a lot. They feel they're less worth it. They believe that they are of a lesser value in comparison to others, either by race, either by status, economic status, either by social status, or whichever way you look at it. And the danger about someone who is in this deep state of feeling is they'll do a lot of self-sabotage and they'll sabotage others. And that's where you get to understand misery loves company, because if you're someone who's doing well and you're within where they are, they will literally find ways to bring you down to their level. They can have the solution, but they will never step out and be able to go and do anything about it. They'll be more comfortable just being in an enslaved kind of mindset. I'm Kenyan, for example, and you can go to a restaurant, just choose any random high-end restaurant. And I've seen this a lot. I've tried experimenting this a lot just to see. And what you'd notice, if you make an order and someone of a different race comes and makes the same order, and just take your phone or a watch and just look at the timing when you will get served and where the other individual will get served, who's of a different race, you'll be very surprised that your order will come or be delayed, and for the other person will come faster. Even the reception, you'll be treated of a lesser person, yet you are African, you're in your country, it's a restaurant within your country, but because this other person is of a different race, they're treated with superiority. And so you see, they are thinking you are paying the same service like the other individual. You are paying the same thing like the other individual. Also different. And when you raise an issue, they are like, you could go to find another restaurant. And then these employees will be the same ones who will be complaining about this and that. So people within inferiority they're good complainers. I mean, they have a PhD in complaining, but have zero intent to make any solutions or implement. In fact, when you say the word solutions, they disappear. They are very much comfortable being their own cocoon. Even when you look at it from someone who has more money and the person has less or is poor, the person who has more money is given more superiority of service. Even if people know that their wealth has been obtained through dubious methods, they're still treated well. And you who's coming, who has gotten it right, and you're not in the same level, you'll be treated like crap. For example, if you are walking, or if you are driving any of these high-end cars, your treatment will be very different, and you're all going through the same building. I mean, you could suit up like the other person, but because you're thinking, no, the one who has a bigger car has more money, but the one who's walking is poor, or the one who's using a motorbike is treated like a lesser person. But the one who has more money, who has a car, the one who has a car has more loans and everything. The one that you are looking down on, the one on the motorbike, actually is the rich one. Even owns so many properties, but they don't need to show it. And the problem with people with inferiority complex is they never want to see anyone succeed who's within their race or within their tribe or ethnicity or within their community. They want everyone to be dumbed down the same. And you wonder why we're so enslaved as Africans. We wonder why someone can come from their country and come and tell you, don't walk this road. Like that clip that was making rounds, I think that should be in Karen, where there was this folk, it was a white race, that's what I could say. And he's telling, has a walkie-talkie, and he's telling, that's within Karen. And it's around the stage near Shell, on the backside of Java Karen. And he's telling, with his walkie-talkie, and he's telling people, he's telling motorbikes, get out of here and everything. And this is the livelihood of the people who live there. But now this is your country, and you're being told, hey, beat it. In your own country, in your own livelihood. And someone is telling you, hey, step out. We own you. Now, it really doesn't matter. We really don't care what deals were made by governments or anything. This is my motherland. You don't just come and tell me how to eat, drink, sleep. This is not the colonization era prior, where we had no voice or anything. But it's happening. And if no one voices out, sadly, the same person will tell this, the people who are affected will go and look for someone of their own race, or and say, and try to justify the action of the person who is mistreating them. That is the danger of inferiority complex. You attack your own, you crush your own, you insult your own, you sabotage your own. If you're in a company and they see you, for example, having a conversation with a director, with a CEO, with a founder, those within the office, their so-called colleagues, will start making rumors of this person wants to be a boss, this person ABCD. And maybe what you're looking for is like 5 minutes or 10 minutes of learning something new. Or you're doing a follow-up on something. Or you want to learn something beyond where you are. And so these other people will start creating rumors so that they can pull you down so that you can sit with them, because inferiority complex equals to misery loves company. And if you're in a family setup, and this is the reason why politicians, sadly, they always have control over the masses, because they will look for the people who are, for example, if it's in Kenya, you will never hear the same politicians with their speakers and all that go to Karen, Lavington, Kileleshwa. Nah, you'll see them go to other places where there's a mob. They go to Kibra, they'll go to Gidu, they'll go to, and they'll try and attack and plant seeds of discord. And like we've witnessed during the Mandamano, what happened eventually, the same places are the places which they attacked. So these the same places they come and ask for votes, the same place they come and do a lot of atrocities. And if you don't understand the dangers of inferiority complex, you never progress as a community, as a person, as a nation. Because someone will always come. That's why if it's within a faith setup or religious institution, a leader, a church leader, or whoever it is, can go and do very bad things. And people will say, but that person prophesies like this, that person prophesies like that. We forget, even in the Bible, in the time of Elisha, we had many prophets, and they were telling Elisha, ABCD will happen to Elijah. He never gave them the time. We had the old prophet and the new prophet. I mean, prophets have always been there, and we've had prophets who've gone astray. And you see, the gift is never taken. The gift is just compromised. So yeah, a false prophet can give you a real prophecy, but they have already compromised. So it's up to you, the grace and mercies of God, to be able to guide you. And that's why you can look at a person like Balaam. Balaam being a diviner, Balaam being having traded his gift to use it for money, was able to bless Israel. Yet he was the same person who was selling them, trying to please Moab. And when he realized he couldn't, the curses couldn't work, it was blessing. What did he do? After he noticed how many they were and where they were, he just told the Balak, this is easy. Just let the ladies go down this route. And didn't take long before Israel was already defied at that time. So inferiority complex is super lethal and super dangerous because it destroys. If you are a millennial like I, and we have the boomers before us, and you try to have like conversations and tell them you can do this, they're like, hapana, mzungu anafaa kusema hivi, no, serikali nasema hivi. Okay, to translate, someone of a white race or the government is right and everything, but I no, they are wrong. They are wrong. Or if they're very religious, they'll tell you, no, this pastor has this type of anointing. You'll tell them, what nonsense is this? When the Bible did you see it being used to this extent? Where someone is giving you a spray, someone is giving you beads, someone is giving you a cloth, and they're telling me, how is this related to go? No, I'll be able to claim. And I used to see this thing a lot, where you go to a church and you see people, somebody's walking, and then they see this high-end car, they see one of these luxury cars, and then they're tapping on it, and then they're holding it, and then I'm thinking, what are they doing? So they're saying, I'm claiming it, and I'm in my head, I'm thinking, what are you claiming? How do you know how this car was bought? Do you know this car was bought legally or illegally? If it was illegally, so you're claiming whatever was done. And then the people who, and then because they have been doing it, so they end up becoming like psychos when you think about it. Because now they always say, I claim that house, I claim this, I claim this. I'm like, yeah, what this claim it nonsense, man? Just Do your work. If it's God's will for you to get whatever it is, fine. Because all you're doing, you're not claiming it. Let's just be honest. You're coveting it. And if you go back to the 10 Commandments, bam, they got you on that one. So, and that's the problem. And that's why we have this group or this cabal of the so-called preachers or prophets at ABCD who can easily control the masses here in Africa and Kenya and other African nations and tell them it is this who has done that, is this who has done that. No, you don't need your family. We have a place where you can be, where no one will disturb you. And when they take you and isolate you, what happens to the women who are isolated? They are defiled, and many other things are done to them, and then they are told, no, this is the Holy Spirit who was said you are the one who was chosen as the bride for this. But that woman has been done so many things, and when you try and reason with them, they're so brainwashed. And if that person tells them attack this person, in a click of an eye, you're done for. And that's why we should be very careful and discerning the times to which you're living in. Inferiority complex is so bad, even in families, whereby, let's say you're not the rich, you're not the wealthy or the rich person in the family, and you have relatives or siblings who are over, who have money and all, and you know whether their money is legal or illegal. These people have bad attitude and everything. But if you're in a family setup and you're trying to give an opinion, everybody tells you shut up. In fact, they tell you, you go drink your Fanta and Sprite or Stony and stay the hell out and get out of here. You don't have a voice. This one knows everything. Why? They know everything because they have a car, because they have this lavish, they have these things, they have money, cash money, they are throwing people, they're sending it through M-Pesa. And they knew because you're trying to reason with them, they tell you shut up. And then when everything hits the fan, people start remembering your words. But at that time, they will not acknowledge. The problem with someone with inferiority or a community or a system with inferiority, they never acknowledge when they've done wrong. They will find an excuse. So if a politician is stealing, they will try to justify that something happened that forced that politician to steal. If it's a religious or a faith leader who has done an atrocity or something wrong, they will justify and say it's not that person. It is those people who did ABCD, and then they are trying to destroy. I'm looking for the right word. They're trying to smear campaign against our person. They call them papa. I hate this word when someone calls a religious or a faith leader papa, father, teach some weird names. And Matthew 26 is very clear. And these are the same people say, but God say, touch not the hand. I'm thinking, do you ever read scripture and understand? But they don't read scripture. They read the scripture they're being told. If you are sick, they don't want to go to hospital. They want to go to their papa and be told why they are sick. Or they told, don't worry. You remember your grandmother. She was a witch, she was a this, she was a that. Whether it's true or not, so what? Go get your Panadol. Go get your painkiller. Go get this. Move. And that is why we always have this issue. And when political leaders want to double down a nation, they'll go to the older generation. And because they have experienced, to an extent, colonization, so it's easy to be able to, because of the trauma, they're easy to be able to control. And for some of them, they've seen people who rose up and they were silent. So because now that fear has been placed there, they're always put in one area. But this is the question I normally put it out there. If a government or if a community has already shown you you are not worth it, they've taken everything and everything from you, you've already lost everything. So why not rise up and say, I'm taking back what I've lost? Because either way, when you are silent, they still took it. So is it not better to fight and die in the battlefield than sit there and let the enemy find you in your room saying, you know what, I'm not going to fight, they're going to understand? Which enemy will understand? They will crush you and move on with life. And that is why we have this proxy, the Western nations always using proxies and being able to bring that war. They manufacture the weapons and then they sell to us at a premium price. And then they pin a community to another community, and then another community is called like a terrorist group or banditry or whatever. And then now you're fighting against each other. And among you, there's a resource they need. So both you two teams are protecting them against your own resource. But that's what's happening right now. And that's why we see this thing whereby we are being told our military, like in Kenya military, our security agencies, they're always being trained by the Western nations and everything. But the question is, if those Western nations decide to go against us, can we stand up? No, we'll be smoked in 1 minute because we already compromised from day one. Why not try and work with other different nations? But you're stuck. They're always saying this area has banditry. From since I was a kid, it's banditry with all the weapons and everything they claim. But then you realize it's never banditry. They're just mining up resources and taking it to other nations. So the problem with the inferiority complex is even when you're having a case, the person who has been victimized will first be judged even before they will be the one condemned instead of being the one protected. And that's why I always discourage when someone comes to, there's this thing people do when you're meeting someone and during an introduction phase with someone, the first thing they ask you is, who are you, what do you do? If someone asks you, who are you, what do you do? One, they want to look at who is connected to you. Two, what do you do? So they know the level of respect they will give you. So if you tell them, and I do this intentionally, and because I've done it, because I've sold, I say, me, I sell groundnuts. Trust me, they will look at me like I'm a low tier. And I'm okay with that because my worth will go to those who deserve it. So already given me, and then now you meet in a place and then they realize you're the one leading, and then now they're feeling so ashamed. And now they'll come, oh, I didn't know you are. I'm like, yeah, man, beat it. Beat it. Just keep moving. So the problem with inferiority complex is you look down on your own people who are trying to help you rise up. You're over competitive against your own. So whether it's in a colleagues, whether it's a race, whether it's a community, and then you're always justifying the wrongs of whoever is the abuser or the colonizing party or the exploiting party, and you're always going to be defending those doing wrong. And those doing right, you are crushing them, you're dumbing them down. And I guess worse for those who are married, because now, if the man is the one with that inferiority complex, you can literally see the battlefield that will be there. And the child who tries to come out of it, after managing to come out of it, they come out of it with so many scars and so many wounds, because inferiority complex equals to a trauma bond. So you try to bring people into this place and you don't want them to get out. Yes, the world is crazy and the world is dark. But if you say you have a kid and you say you're just going to lock them in their house, they're not going to go out there and go study with other kids or go to the market, how are you helping them saying I'm protecting them within these four corners of their house? They can't go to the shop, they can't do it because the world is wicked. Yes, the world is wicked. But how are you preparing them? What will happen the day you're sick? That child will not be able to help you because already you told them people were bad. So already in the mind of this child, people are so bad. So they won't help you. So you now thinking you're helping them, you end up suffering. And this child now suffers even triple as now they're becoming adults because you've put them in this confinement. Yes, people are bad, facts. But is everyone bad? And yes, the people who God will use to bless you, take out and never your own family, they're strangers. But how will you know the strangers will help you if you don't connect? How will you know that I'm a good friend or a bad friend if we don't connect? You never know. You have to break from that shell. And again, this shell that you are in inferiority, this shell that you've put yourself under, it's already an old shell. It's holding the past. It's holding all this trauma. It's holding all this, I can't. Why not break from the whole shell? Who said you needed the shell eventually? And even need the shell. Why do you need that shell? You can get a rebranded one. But you don't need to have that mindset, because inferiority complex equals to an enslavement kind of mindset. So when you see someone progress, you want to bring them down. When you see them speak, you want to say, no, the government will put you down. Yeah, the government is finishing you. You're the same one complaining, the government has done this and done this and done, and they're told, fine, go do something about it. But you know this, then shut up. If you can't take action, And if you can't take action to do something about it, shut up. Because at the end of the day, you're not helping anyone. And it becomes frustrating for anyone who's dealing with someone who's stuck with inferiority complex, because progress, every step you try to pull them up. And that's why sometimes you want to put someone up, but you say, no, this one I won't, because nobody wants to be with a negative person all the time. Every time you want to make a step, but you know this, they always have an excuse for lack of progress. So, is that someone you want next to you? No. Is that someone you want in a relationship? No. Is that someone you want as a friendship? No. Is that someone you want within your family setup in engagements? No. So you just put them aside and you move on. And then, remember, inferiority complex equals to misery loves company. Now, because they do not want to deal with the issue, as painful as it is, progressively, because healing is a journey, they will go and look for another person who either has information or doesn't have information, and then bring them to their level. Let me give you a good example. If you are going to a new company or a new business, right? And so there's a community for that business or new colleagues. Someone with inferiority complex will already, before even a week into, they'll have already told you who the bad ones and the good ones are. And then they'll already try and put you in a clique. They say, oh, here we are supposed to be like this, because if you do like this, you'll be done. And then when you go out and learn from the other people, you realize there's an issue. And personally, I fought a lot with this among the people around me, because if I would go, for example, for seminars and training conferences, I'll be told in Swahili, mtu anajituma sana, hautalipwa. In English, that will be, I'm trying to, the English translation is a tough one. I'm trying to sell myself more out there and I won't be paid more. Who said I was looking for payment? I was looking for my experience. And every time you want to progress, they will bring you down. But now, once you've identified someone with inferiority complex, it's important to tell them straight up, you need to change. And they have a choice. They can either choose to be confined within where they want, or they can break from that shell and be ready to face the challenge. It's like a little child. A little child, you bring a little child into this world. What happens? After they've gone through their teething and everything, they already want to move around. The places you said you put so many boxes around or things around, what does a child do? The child throws those things and wants to go through and learn and learn and learn. They want to learn and learn and learn. So inferiority complex is an issue that if you don't deal with it, and it has to start with you as a person, you have to identify, is it with me? So when you are afraid of change, when you are afraid to step because you had, for example, someone will say, don't marry because marriage will do ABCD. You need to ask yourself this question. The person who gave you this information, are they married? Fine. If they are married, there are two things to learn here. Are they speaking from the point of a victim, a survivor, or they're speaking from the point of they are the abuser? You need to be able to understand. And then another thing, have they played a role to bring that marriage to the ground, or they just don't want other people to be on that level? And this is something you'll see within the dating arena. Ladies do this a lot to each other, whereby they will tarnish the name of a guy. And so these other ladies will think this guy is a bad person so that she can have a chance with him. And then this other will be thinking, but you said ABCD, and she's like, should I remove the competition? Because someone who has inferiority complex is over competitive, not from the context of growth, but from the context of ensuring that nobody reaches to this level. And so they want everyone to be on this small level. If they get the level of superiority, they will frustrate, they will micromanage, they will frustrate, and they never want to see anyone grow. So if you've identified a person or a community or a race or whatever it is, you have a choice to break from these walls they put and go through. The only way a child knows they can be able to walk is they have to crawl, stand up, and fall. And then once they make the first two steps, because they've seen adults walk, they want to make more steps. So be the child. Crawl, stand up, fall, make two steps, fall, make two steps, fall, move, move, move. Because the only way you know is until you get out of that shell. And for them that are within inferiority complex, you have a choice. You can keep complaining, you can keep bringing people down, but guess what? One time, you see these people you have in your crew for Misery Loves Company, others will wake up. And then you'll be left alone. Then you'll have to look for others and others and others. For how long? Why not see someone else progress? Why not rise up and call things out for what they really are? With all the information and with all that education, with all the things that you know, and you cannot help someone to reach a better place, you have a problem. Change. But if that's where you want to be, stick there. But for the ones who know they don't want to be in this shell, get out of that shell and go out there. What's the worst that could happen? Hey, life has two things that it will give you: a slam on the door or the door being opened for you. But there's one thing that will remain to be constant: experience, whether good or whether bad. And it does not define you. The only way a ship will know its strength, it has to be in deep waters and face the tides and the storms. The only way an aeroplane will know that it's been built and is strong, it has to be mid-air. The only way a relationship or a marriage will know is strong, it has to face the turbulence. It has to face the times that people don't want to talk to each other. The only way you will know your strength, your value, and to build your character, you have to go out there. The only way you will know that you want to stand up and stand out, you have to build a brand. You can't be in an enclosure and expect people to come and figure you out. You have to be out there where people are, and people will be able to say, oh, this person is different from this person. This is someone I want to flow with. You have to break from the shell of inferiority complex. Break it. And you don't need a shell, and move. Because that shell is what is making you never succeed. And misery loves company, but eventually, what's the tire there? Misery. You really want to be someone who's negative? For how long? So break from that shell of inferiority complex and go out there and be who you are meant to be, the value that God gave you.